Welcome back to Old School Sports and what will likely be the final season of our mini-series here in Out of the Park Baseball 26 with the Los Angeles Angels. If you've been enjoying the series or if you're joining us for the first time, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and throw us a thumbs up or a comment. Always like the engagement with our viewers, also known as our worldwide scouting department. And I say this is likely our final season with the Los Angeles Angels because it's early Friday evening as I am working on this episode. And this morning, the latest patch, which was in beta early this week, was released. So if that looks relatively stable, we'll probably, for better or worse, start our long-term playthrough after we get through this season with the Angels. Depending on how motivated I get this weekend, we could get through the series relatively quickly. The weather where I am is expected to be cold and rainy throughout the weekend, so I may be able to play a little more OOTP than I normally would. And as we begin this likely final year with the Angels, there's really, honestly, only one way this final season can be measured as a success. We were the world champions a year ago. As we talked about at the end of the last episode, the preseason predictions had us looking like the best team in baseball, at least in this upcoming regular season. So anything less than a repeat with this very strong roster that we've put together is going to be a pretty significant disappointment. And we should find out over the next several episodes how this season ends up going. The goal in this one is to hopefully get through the first couple months of the season in good shape as we get ready to begin the season. No injuries that are significant to speak of. Prospect Mike Scott out with a partially torn UCL. He could very well have been competing for a spot on the Major League roster this year, but unfortunately he missed all of spring training, going to be out for another 4 months, and he hasn't played above Double-A ball. So by the time he's healthy, hopefully this summer, probably we'll have him in Double-A and maybe Triple-A, and who knows, if things go incredibly well, maybe he's a September call-up. If not, he will hopefully have a nice fictional career for these Los Angeles Angels in the ether of the universe that we probably will not actually be playing through. And as we get ready to get the season underway, start out on the road, 3 games at the White Sox here in the month of March, and then moving into the month of April. Start out with a lot of games against teams outside of our division. We will have a long road trip that starts in Tampa, and then we go through divisional rivals Houston and Texas on the way back home to California. And we'll finish off the month of April with a game at Seattle to start off a series there. So we won't see Oakland at all, or I guess they're technically Sacramento, or still technically here in this 2030 version of the game based on a much earlier build. They are still technically just the Athletics, and they are still playing at Sutter Health Park in Sacramento with that 14,000 capacity. If that persists in my long-term play, I'll certainly change it. But from the reports I've heard from others who have simmed ahead with more recent builds, it sounds like by 2028, the A's do end up in Las Vegas. But I'll make sure that happens in the long-term sim once we, God willing, get to that point. And in the very early stages of the season, off to a nice start at 4-1. That said, we're still only tied for second in the division and a game and a half behind the undefeated Rangers. Anthony Volpe, who is getting an opportunity to play for us every day this year after being more of a platoon guy last season. Off to a really nice start, hitting .444 with 8 ribbies over his first 5 games of the year. Are dealing with our first injury, of course, the youngster Sean Gamble, who had a nice rookie season for us last year, although he did battle some injuries. Going to be dealing with back tightness for the next week and a half or so. We probably won't throw him on the IL, try to get him through it, but we'll likely bench him if he gets fatigued at all, and hopefully, actually we'll probably bench him even more if he gets fatigued. We do have, as we've talked about in previous episodes, a pretty deep roster and a pretty deep infield this year, where a guy like Zach Neto and Joshua Lugo both are only in the lineup against left-handed pitching, so they could certainly fill in for Gamble going forward if he needs a day off or two to hopefully recover from that injury. And the early stages of the season continue to go very well for us, and the Rangers are no longer invincible. So at 12-3, half a game up on the Rangers and a game up on the Astros. The AL West off to a very strong start. 4 teams with winning percentages over .600 in the early going. Certainly the Boston Red Sox at 1-16 with 8 straight losses, looking like the worst team in baseball this year by a pretty significant margin, but we're not even for many teams, including our Angels, 10% of the way through the season yet, so a lot can change. Quick look at the leaderboard. Volpe continues to perform very well, second in the league in batter WAR, hitting .365, second in the league in OPS, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. off to a nice start with 6 homers and 15 ribbies through his first 15 games, even though the batting average is only .226. Taking a look at the pitchers, Cade Smith, who we signed to an extension this offseason and has taken over for us as the closer. We had to promise him a closer role. Has pitched in 8 games and has a league best 8 saves. And the season continues to go pretty well for us. We had won 2 of our first 3 in the division this month against Houston on the road, but then we did lose 2 out of 3 against Texas. Since then, however, we've taken 6 out of 7 as we head into the final days of the month of April. 19-6 record puts us a game up on the Astros and a game and a half up on the Rangers in the division. 19-6 record, also the best record in baseball here in the early going. Guerrero Jr. Has got the batting average up to .279 and is second in the American League with 24 ribbies, tied with our old buddy Mike Trout, who's having a resurgent season at the age of 38 for Baltimore. We'll still keep an eye on whether or not he may be someone who joins us for a stretch run. The youngster Jake Riley tied for the league lead in strikeouts and leading the league in pitcher WAR after his rookie season was cut short by injury last year. And Cade Smith has slipped down to being tied for second in the league in saves with our former closer, Joan Duran, who Cade Smith took over for this season. Do have a couple of injuries that we're going to need to figure out over the near term. Kyle Tucker, a strained groin that's going to impact him for 3 weeks, given that it does have a moderate impact on his running, along with a minimal impact on his hitting. And strained groins are the things that oftentimes can linger, at least in real baseball, and I think here in fictional baseball as well. Probably will look to put Tucker on the IL. Unfortunately, the other injury that we're dealing with is another outfielder, another day-to-day injury. Carlos Jorge with a sprained elbow, moderate impact on his throwing. But Jorge has been our DH, so we'll just keep him in the DH role, and we'll bring up someone else who can play in the outfield for us. The other option would be to maybe let Andy Pages move into the starting lineup against right-handed pitching. He is a pretty highly paid player for a guy who's only playing against left-handed pitching for us. Not off to an incredibly hot start, hitting .226 with no homers and 3 ribbies and 31 at-bats. But we'll keep Jorge in the DH role since if he's not playing in the field, hopefully his elbow won't become an issue. But we will be putting Tucker on the IL and making a call to the minors and a roster decision. And it's amazing, even just several years into this playthrough, how quickly things change as players get older. The guy that we're bringing up is Sean Bouchard. He's a guy who we thought about making a big-time acquisition for just a few seasons ago at times when we were looking for help in the outfield. This year, he's a guy who we signed as a minor league free agent back in January. Hit just a .196 for us and 46 AAA at-bats, but does give us another right-handed bat. So Bouchard will come up and play left field for us against left-handed pitching. And as I kind of thought might happen, we're going to give Pages an opportunity to be an everyday player. He'll play right field for us against right-handed pitching going forward as we see if maybe we can catch lightning in a bottle with either Pages against righties or Bouchard overall in the coming weeks while we're waiting for Mr. Tucker to get healthy. And before we could even move forward a day, the outfield situation gets even worse. Tucker on the IL, as we talked about. Jorge, because of an arm injury, going to remain only a DH. And Pages, who is going to be getting some more playing time, just gets suspended 4 days for a bench emptying brawl in our victory in Minnesota. So we'll be even a little shorter on outfield for the rest of this month until we get to May. But despite those little issues in the outfield, we continue to roll. We've won 8 games in a row now as the calendar turns to the month of May. 3.5 up on the Astros and 4 up on the Rangers, who have each lost 3 in a row. Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Andres Putt-Putt Rodriguez 1-2 in the AL in ribbies, although Putt-Putt is hitting just .216 this year, so that's a bit disappointing. But with only a 200 BABIP, we think it's largely just bad luck. Does have 5 steals already, so good to see him finally being a little more active on the base paths than he has been in the past. And he's still put up a 121 WRC plus for us in the early going of this season. Cade Smith now tied for the league lead in saves. Jake Riley second in the league in pitcher WAR. And Cade Smith, after that big month of May, was named the American League Pitcher of the Month. 10 saves with 13 strikeouts and 13 2/3 innings to earn that award for us. And we've been playing a somewhat less effective baseball here in the month of May, just a 4-6 record over the first week and a half of the month. That being said, we're still in a pretty good spot, tied for the second best record in baseball with the Astros, only 1 game up on the Rangers. The 29-12 Tigers now have the best record in baseball. Guerrero Jr. still leading the league in ribbies, and Jake Riley now leading the league in ERA, and he remains second in the league in pitcher WAR behind the 4-time defending American League Cy Young Award winner Garrett Crochet. And we've had a great week since the last time we checked in. Won the first 6 games of a road trip against the Padres and the Dodgers. Have 4 left on the road against the Athletics before we finally return home for games with the Marlins and the Yankees before heading out to Cleveland the last day of May. And if you're wondering, we're still waiting on Tucker and that strained groin. Injury time is unknown at this point. Hopefully he's not too far away, but he's been out for almost a month at this point. Felt it was probably the right move to put him on the IL, and certainly with a 32-13 record, can't say that we have missed him too much. Pages still not doing what we hoped. 235 average and 85 at-bats, is getting a bit more playing time with Tucker on the IL. And Bouchard has actually been pretty effective for us, 10 for 28 with 2 homers and 9 ribbies. Only started 6 games since he's only supposed to be in the lineup against left-handed pitching, but the veteran has been extremely effective for us in that limited role that he had. Could face an interesting decision when he's back and when Tucker's back and healthy, given how effective Bouchard has been for us. And Tucker is healthy now. Decided to shop Bouchard just to see if there's any value for him. Not anyone particularly interesting that we can get in return. I think we just try to sneak him back to AAA. Odds are some team will grab him, but I would rather try to keep him in the organization. So we're going to waive and DFA him, bring Tucker back onto the roster, and he did the job for us. Was hitting .312. He had started one more game since we last checked in on him. As we sit here on May 26th, taking a look at the standings, 35-16, a game up on the Rangers, 5.5 up on the Astros, and at this point we are one game up, or actually we are percentage points ahead of the Tigers for the best record in baseball. We're a game up on them in the loss column, but they're a game up on us in the win column. And as we head towards the end of May, we've been selling out most games, so we've upped our ticket prices to $37. We've actually also picked up a point in fan interest with the real strong play, moved from 97 to 98 over the first couple of months of this season. So definitely think that we'll be leaving the Angels in a good financial position given our likely pending departure. I have gotten some comments about signing players to long-term contracts. Given that this is a mini-series, haven't really given deep thought to getting guys signed. Clearly the one that would be the most interesting would be Andres Rodriguez, and if this was going to be something I was doing for the long term, would have certainly tried to get him signed a couple years ago. Still hitting just .227 this year, but does have 12 homers and 35 ribbies, 123 WRC plus, and a 1.2 WAR, so he's been productive, but not quite as productive as he was over the first couple seasons of his career. Looking for 11 years at an average of $26.8 million a year. Not crazy money, quite honestly. This would take him up into his mid-30s. We'll try to get him signed to a little bit less, but again, I don't see myself simming way into the future with this team unless something goes very wrong as far as this latest patch. But still would be good to know that if we ever do revisit this series, Putt is signed for the long term. So that's something that I may look at doing. Clearly some other big free agents coming up as well. Kyle Tucker in the final year of his contract. Spencer Schwellenbach set to become a free agent for the first time in his career, as is Christian Scott and the lefty reliever Garrett McDaniels. And Putt was looking for 11 years at about $294 million total. You can see we offered him 11 years at $272 million total. He had the final 2 years in what he was looking for at team options, so we kept those in there. Just tried to save a little bit of money in the coming years. If and when he accepts this contract, we will check in and show you all of the dirty details. And we finished off the month of May in good fashion, taking 2 out of 3 at home against the Yankees, and then we won the first game of this series in Cleveland. Also, some good news is that nobody put in a claim for Sean Bouchard, so if we have some injury issues down the line, still have him as part of the organization, so glad that we didn't trade him away and kind of rolled the dice on trying to get him through waivers. Taking a look at the standings here as of June 1st, 3-game lead in the division over the Rangers, up 5.5 over the Astros. The Athletics certainly coming down to earth, and they're now tied for last place with the Mariners, both of them 12 games behind us. But each of those teams only 2 games below 500, so the AL West remains a very strong division. The Red Sox still in last place and still have the fewest wins in baseball, but after that brutal start, they've been much closer to a 500 team over the last month and a half or so. Vlad Guerrero Jr. still leading the league with 53 runs batted in. Schwellenbach leading the league in wins. Cade Smith leading the league in saves. And Jake Riley now third in pitcher WAR at 2.0. Quick look at the team statistics. Our 39-17 record is actually 5 games better than expectations. 6-2 in extra inning games, 10-7 in one-run games. So we've actually gotten a bit lucky this year. Second in the American League in runs scored, and you can see we're in the top 4 in all of the primary hitting categories. Only 10th in steals, and we are dead last in the league in base running. Solid defensive team, 5th in defensive efficiency and 3rd in zone rating here as of June 1st. And we've got the second best offense, as we mentioned, in terms of runs scoring, the second best pitching staff in the league in terms of runs allowed, although our starters ERA of 8th is right in the middle of the pack. The bullpen ERA of 3.25 is 5th. Must be some real close statistics as far as the earned run average for a lot of teams in the American League, and there must be a lot of teams with real good starters and real bad bullpens, or real bad bullpens and real good starters, because although our starter ERA is right in the middle of the pack of 8th and our bullpen ERA ranks just 5th, our overall earned run average is 2nd in the American League. Pitching staff generally pretty solid in most of the statistical categories, although we are near the bottom of the league, 13th in home runs allowed here in the early stages of this season. And Vlad Guerrero having one of the better seasons he's had in the 4.5 years he's been with us. Now going to be day-to-day with a strained oblique for the next 3 weeks. So we'll have to figure out how to proceed with that. But we did get Andres Rodriguez signed. The fan interest increases significantly. Presumably that means we're going to be at 100 or above. Actually, no, only got a 1-point bump to 99, but still moving in the right direction. So since we continue to sell out, we will bump up our ticket prices just a little bit more. Try to leave this team in a very good financial situation for when we do move on. I think over the near term, we'll probably keep Guerrero in the lineup with that oblique. He's already DHing for us against left-handed pitching. Probably DH him for the next few weeks to try to help him work through that injury, although swinging the bat many times a game probably isn't going to be the best thing for that oblique injury. And apparently strained obliques are contagious, because although Vlad Guerrero Jr. has an oblique strain that he can play through, Kyle Tucker does not, and he is going to be out for the next week. And we're not playing good here in the start of the month of June with a 1-4 record over our first 5 games, even losing 2 out of 3 to Boston, who we've been doing nothing but talking about how poor they've been this season through much of this episode, getting a little bit of the turntables turning on us, unfortunately. Also, the injuries becoming more significant. Big one here. Christian Scott, torn labrum, out 4 to 5 months, so that will in all probability end his season. Certainly not optimal to lose our number 5 starter. He was 3-2 this year with a 4.10 ERA. As we talked about, he was a player getting ready to hit free agency. We had actually looked into potentially extending him in Schwellenbach. Scott was looking for $14 million a year. Schwellenbach looking for about $24 million a year. Decided to see some more cards, and you can see Scott now still looking for $14 million a year over 4 years. Given that we're unlikely to see him pitch again before he hits free agency, don't think there's any real strong impetus to make an offer to him at this point. For the near term, would have to think that we are likely to probably try to move George Klassen in as our number 5 starter. You can see Riley's been excellent for us, 5-0. The rest of the pitching staff, as far as the starters, have not been exceptional. The bullpen's been pretty solid. All 8 of the pitchers in our bullpen have ERAs below 4. We'll likely give Klassen the opportunity, but certainly will keep our eyes open given that this is a win-now team. Want to make sure if there's any opportunity to improve ourselves, we do it on the trade market, although at June 6th might be a little bit early for other teams to really be willing to give up a big-time pitcher this early. And taking a quick look at the pitchers who are already on the trade block, don't know that there's any real difference makers as far as a starting pitcher. Definitely some depth out there with the likes of Will Warren, veteran Corbin Burns, and Michael Knorr. Looks like a guy who could be a useful 5th starter. Not sure how much the requests for him are going to be. It looks like he's someone who is definitely attainable, although they're looking for the top prospects in our organization or pretty important players on our major league roster. We actually could get him for Klassen, but to agree, that's probably not going to really do too much for us, but certainly think we could put a package together to get Knorr down the line if we wanted to. For the time being, though, as I mentioned, we're going to move Klassen into the rotation. And we brought up the lefty Joey Broughton. He's a guy who we picked up in a trade last offseason. Basically view him as a replacement-ish level type pitcher. Was 6-3 with a 3.54 ERA in Salt Lake for us, so he's done a solid job there, but certainly don't view him as a big-time prospect at the age of 24, but a useful arm that hopefully can eat some innings for us in long relief over the coming weeks until we decide whether we need to make a more significant addition to our pitching staff. And with the promotion of Broughton, we promoted Andy Kraft, who's actually, like everyone else in the organization, dealing with a mild oblique strain, but we promoted Andy Kraft, former second-round pick back in 2026, up to AAA. The 22-year-old still looks like he could be a very interesting major league starter. He was 7-2 with a 2.82 ERA in 12 starts for us in Double-A this season after a 3-0 record in Double-A right at the end of last year. So certainly doesn't look like he's got anything else to prove at that level. Would imagine the numbers may be a little rough in AAA, but having a guy like Kraft who's not too far off being ready for the majors in the organization could make it a little easier for us to perhaps not go crazy trying to desperately trade for a starting pitcher over this next couple of months until we get to the deadline. Well, some good news and some bad news. George Klassen pitched a no-hitter for us, moved into that number 5 starter spot that he has manned for us at times over the last few years, and spun an incredible 92-pitch no-hitter in his first start of the season. So very good to see that. And maybe he'll put a lock on that spot and we won't need to do anything to change things. Unfortunately, Carlos Jorge, it says he suffers a setback, but it's really a new injury because he had been dealing with the oblique strain. Now he's got a strained knee that's going to have a minimal impact on him. You can see no more throwing impact, but moderate impact on his running for the next couple of weeks. We'll have to decide whether or not we want to keep him in the lineup. We had been playing him at first base with the injury to Vlad Guerrero Jr., VG Jr., still recovering from his strained oblique for the next week. But team is still, all in all, in a fine spot. 43-24 record, second best in baseball behind those mighty Tigers, who are now a game and a half ahead of us in the standings. We got a 1-game lead on the Rangers and 1.5 up on the Astros. So the AL West remains a very competitive and high-quality division here in 2030. And the injuries keep coming. Fortunately, none too serious, but Put Rodriguez is going to be day-to-day with a strained back for the next week. Still not having a great season by his standards. Only a .227 batting average. Does have 17 homers and 44 ribbies. But interestingly, after he had that outstanding result in the development lab this past offseason with his gap power, only 8 doubles and 1 triple as we sit here in the middle of June. You can see we've continued to lose some games, and we've actually fallen out of first place. Actually, we're falling into a tie for first place with the Rangers, although for whatever reason we're listed as second up here. But if I looked at it closely, I would have seen that we were no games behind. So tied for first with the Rangers now. The Tigers continue to be the best team in baseball. And we're just trying to survive all these injuries without putting anyone on the IL, but we will have something here on the IL. Yoshihiko Wakabayashi, starting shortstop, going to be out for over a month with shoulder inflammation. He has had a very difficult second season in the major leagues, hitting just .242, 1 homer, and 21 ribbies. A year after he won Rookie of the Year, hitting .319 with a league best .420 on base percentage. So just an 84 WRC plus, and he's barely been a replacement level player for us this year. So certainly not living up to that big $40 million contract. Although the injury allegedly only happened yesterday, maybe it's been something that's bothering him all year. And with a little time off and that shoulder inflammation gone away, hopefully he'll get the bat going for us going forward, because he has been a major disappointment this season. And we'll bring up a youngster, Oswaldo Patino, come up through the organization. The 23-year-old was hitting just over 300 in 256 at-bats with AAA Salt Lake for us this year. Patino's going to, as a left-handed hitter, take over as our third baseman against right-handed pitching. Sean Gamble will pivot to short for the injured Wakabayashi, and Volpe will pivot from third to second. And we'll reverse things with those two against left-handed pitching, letting Gamble into the lineup against second base, playing second base, batting ninth, and Volpe will play short against left-handed pitching. So they'll both get a little opportunity to play at both of those middle infield positions. And Gamble, who's been playing only against right-handed pitching for us, will get another opportunity to be an everyday player. And we're getting close to fighting through these injuries. Jorge, only 3 days away now, and Put Rodriguez just 1 day from hopefully recovering. But it has definitely taken a toll on us in the standings. We've lost 6 of our last 7 at this point, and fallen to 46-31, 2.5 games back in the division, and we've dropped all the way to third place with that 3-7 record over our last 10 and 4 losses in a row. Hopefully we can play better over these last few days of the month of June as we head towards the midway point of the season and our mid-year review with Mr. Moreno. And things finally going a little better this week. We swept 3 games at home against Boston after getting swept at home by Houston, and we've won the first game of a series against Washington. The team had also gotten healthy, but only temporarily, is another issue to be dealing with now. Andres Rodriguez, right after he gets back and healthy, a cramped hammy that's going to impact him for the next 4 days, but we're going to just have him hopefully push his way through it. And we did also end up sweeping the Nationals, so 6 wins in a row after that really rough first 3 weeks of the month of June for us. So feeling a little bit better about things as we get to July 1st, 52-31 record, just half a game behind the Rangers, and we've won those 6 in a row at this point, which has put us back ahead of the Astros. VG Jr. is 3rd in the league in ribbies. Schwellenbach continues to lead the league in wins. Cade Smith 3rd in saves. Jake Riley 2nd in pitcher WAR. We did also get our mid-year review a couple days ago, or a few days ago at this point. Mr. Moreno thinks we're got to keep up the good work to meet the team record goal. Unhappy that we didn't extend Logan Gilbert. We'll check in on how he's doing this year. 4-7 with a 4.09 ERA for the Yankees. Doesn't view Carlos Jorge as the type of power hitter he wants us to see, or he wants to see on the team. Things are looking good in extra inning games. Wants more from us in terms of international free agents. But overall, happy with our progress towards the goals, happy with our on-field and front office management. So we are not in a bad position as we sit here on July 1st. The 52-31 record, still 4 games better than Pythagorean expectations. We had that great April 20-5 record, an excellent May at 17-11. Even with the 6-game winning streak to end June, though, we ended up a game below 500 at 13-14 for the month of June. Tied for 2nd in the American League in runs scored, 3rd in the American League in runs allowed. So when all is said and done, things have gone reasonably well for us on the field this year. Rodriguez still another 2 days to recover from that hamstring cramp, and then we'll be getting closer to fully healthy. Obviously, Scott is going to be gone for the year, and we're still 3 weeks away from a potential return by Mr. Wakabayashi. So before we finish things up, we'll take a look and do our mid-season review as we start planning for what we may need to look at in the trade market over the next month as we get ready for the trade deadline and try to set ourselves up to repeat here in our final year in Los Angeles. So taking a look at the pitching staff, as we've been talking about, Schwellenbach 9-6 record with a 3.88 ERA, and Riley 7-2 with a 2.57 ERA and over 100 strikeouts have been our top 2 pitchers. Unfortunately, our 2nd and 3rd starters, Taj Bradley and Michael King, both having rough years. Bradley 4-3 with a 5.75 ERA. He's given up 14 home runs. Positively, his Sierra is well below his ERA, and his FIP minus is pretty strong, so he's perhaps gotten a bit unlucky thus far. Michael King, just a 4-5 record, 5.34 ERA. He's been below replacement level for us. We brought him back for $17 million on a team option this year. Got another team option for him next year. He's been healthy, at least. Pitched only 17 games for us a year ago before in late June his season came to an end, but certainly hasn't bounced back from the injury the way that we would have hoped. George Klassen talked about his no-hitter earlier, 5-2 for us, including 4 starts, 3.69 earned run average. Cade Smith, who we've been talking about, has done a pretty solid job as our closer. The ERA is close to 4, but he does have 24 saves, 19 shutdowns to 7 meltdowns. Garrett McDaniels, the lefty, having another good year out of the bullpen, 2.68 ERA. Carlos Espinoza, 3.38 ERA. And the lefty Tyler Koopman, who could become our closer before the season is over, has done an outstanding job. Did a really nice job for us at the end of last year, striking out 28 and 16 and a third innings. And his incredible ability to strike batters out continues with 84 strikeouts and 50 innings pitched, 1.79 Sierra. He has been excellent for us. Justin Buchanan and Colin Schneider as middle relievers both have ERAs in the 3.30 area. Lefty Pat Baser, who we picked up in a trade in the offseason, 36 strikeouts over 25 innings as our lefty specialist with a 3.24 ERA. Do a little bit deeper dive on his stats, and he has been, as expected, excellent against left-handed pitching with a 1.88 ERA against them. Unfortunately, he's not really anything special against righties with an ERA of over 5 against righties, which is why we're using him as a lefty specialist, not a particularly good pitcher against right-handed pitching. And then Joey Broughton, the replacement-ish level player that we picked up in a trade last offseason, has been below replacement level for us in 8 appearances out of the bullpen since we brought him up when we lost Mr. Scott for the season. Moving to our position players, Juan Flores, part of our catching platoon, not surprisingly, less effective than he was a year ago. The batting average has dropped to 232. Does still have 3 homers and 12 ribbies and 95 at-bats, almost a win above replacement. Close to a league average bat with a very good glove. Certainly happy to have him as part of the platoon. Min Jae Kim, batting average is 278, 10 homers, 31 ribbies. He's put up a 141 WRC plus for us and a 2.3 WAR, so having a very similar sophomore season in the United States to the rookie year that he had last year as a 33-year-old for us. Talked about VG Jr. a lot this episode, hitting 272, 16 homers, 64 ribbies, 129 WRC plus, so he's having a productive season for us. Carlos Jorge now back in the DH role, hitting 258, 9 homers, 32 ribbies, slightly above average offensive player, slightly above replacement level overall. Not playing anywhere near the all-star level that he had early last year for the White Sox, but he's been at least a respectable player for us this year, which is more than you could say when we picked him up as a mid-year addition a season ago. Zach Neto, expensive utility infielder for us this year, hitting just 211. Does have 4 homers, 4 stolen bases, 87 WRC plus, but when all is said and done, he's been a little below replacement level, which certainly isn't what you're hoping for a $15 million price tag. Anthony Volpe got off to that big start, slowed down a bit, but still hitting 256, 7 homers, 14 stolen bases, back to being an everyday player, and he's put up a 112 WRC plus and a 2.3 WAR for us, so he's actually done a pretty solid job. Joshua Lugo, hitting 253 and 154 at-bats. He's been playing for us as a first baseman against left-handed pitching and then an occasional substitute for us. Does have 9 home runs and 20 ribbies in those 154 at-bats, so he's put up a 119 WRC plus, a WAR of close to 1. Oswaldo Patino, who we recently brought up, 8 for 23, has driven in 3 runs, couple of doubles and a triple, so a 149 WRC plus. Not expecting him to keep hitting at that rate, but certainly a useful player for us. And then Sean Gamble, .297 batting average with 16 homers and 38 ribbies, 137 WRC plus, and a 3 WAR. So he is having a very strong sophomore season. Hopefully we'll be able to keep him healthy. So feel reasonably good about catcher, and honestly feel reasonably good about our infielders, particularly with the fact that the least effective infielder has probably been Wakabayashi, and we'd expect a lot more from him when he comes off of the injured list. Turning to the outfield, Anthony Scull was a somewhat surprising all-star for us a year ago. Not quite as productive this year. The batting average has dropped about 30 points to .265. Still his 13 doubles, 1 triple, 8 home runs, so midway through the season, pretty similar production to what we got from him a year ago on those fronts. Overall, a 119 WRC plus and a win above replacement level for us. Certainly hasn't been great, but not bad. Andres Rodriguez has been dealing with those lingering injuries. The batting average, a not very impressive .227, but other numbers are pretty good. 18 homers, 9 stolen bases, put up a 123 WRC plus and a 1.5 WAR. Again, a nice, solid season from him, but this is a guy who threw the first 2 seasons of his career with a 6.5 WAR, followed by an 8.3 WAR, 2-time Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year, All-Star last season, led the league in ribbies, won a ALCS MVP for us, and also a Major League champion. Was starting to author a potential early start to a Hall of Fame career, and not that he's having a bad season, but on pace for a 3 WAR season, which really isn't typically what you'd expect to see from someone who was on a Hall of Fame trajectory at the age of 25. Andy Pages got the batting average up to .268, 5 homers and 18 ribbies and 164 at-bats, 130 WRC plus, 0.7 WAR. He's been fine. And last but not least, Kyle Tucker hitting .254 with 8 homers and 23 ribbies and 173 at-bats, 114 WRC plus, close to a win above replacement. Obviously, he's had some injury issues too, but feel reasonably good about the offense at this point, and feel reasonably good about the pitching staff as well. Don't feel like we have to do anything particularly rash, but certainly as we get closer to the trade deadline, given that we are in win now mode, we'll see who's available on the trade block, who's available otherwise. Gregory Santos, the closer for the Mariners, is on the trade block. Starting pitching-wise, doesn't look like there's necessarily anyone significantly new and interesting on the list. Michael Knorr still looks like he could be a useful addition, but not necessarily much of an upgrade over Klassen. Gavin Stone, torn UCL, out for 12 months. Dustin May dealing with a herniated disc. Blake Snell dealing with shoulder inflammation. To some extent, it looks like people are just trying to perhaps trade away their problems. Batting-wise, first baseman Brent Rooker with that 70 power, certainly one of the more interesting bats out there. Our old buddy Addison Barger, who we let sign across town with the Dodgers this past offseason, is already on the trade block. He's been a league average offensive player this year, pretty similar production to what he did for us last year in terms of his WRC plus and the pace he's on with his WAR, although he's definitely had a little more pop in the bat this year with 14 home runs. So could certainly be some options to improve the team as we get closer to the trade deadline, but also feel like there's not any obvious huge holes on this roster. And with that, we will call it an episode. Until the next time, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.